Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the In Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I'm doing another video highlighting some of the stuff that I am adding to my collections. Records that I bought, records that have come in collections, new arrivals into the store, new releases, that kind of stuff. The first record I'm going to show you, I got about 20 I think in this video. The first record I'm going to show you has kind of got a funny story. A lady comes in 5 or 6 years ago, sells me a collection. It was mostly Robert Goulet, Moltovani, Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass. It was that type of collection. But in the collection, she had about 5 early mint Quincy Jones records, including a record at the time that I've been looking for a long time. I don't think she played them. I don't know where she got them. They didn't really fit with the collection in general. Everything else in the collection looked fairly played. These were not. Put them aside in the store in a pile to take home. An employee that I had at the time grabbed one of them by mistake, priced it, and put it out. I didn't realize he had put it out until a very good customer of mine was checking out at the register, and he was so thrilled to have it. And I'm like, oh, and I was so disappointed. And I had it priced at $14, or he had it priced at $14 because, again, this record was never priced. So my employee grabs the record, puts a random price on it, and then tags it out. And it's gone, right? Like I said, the customer was a regular customer of mine. I'm actually selling his collection now, on Whatnot, that 3,000 piece jazz collection. Hence the reason I'm holding this record. But anyways, I had, he had a price for 14. I was at his house many times, and I offered him $50 for the record. I'm like, I'll give you 50 for it. He was not interested. I bought it like 2 or 3 times on Discogs. Every copy that I got had just like ground up, chewed vinyl sounding. It's just almost like a worn out styrene record. They played awful. But this record, I played it in the store. When I got it, I knew it sounded spectacular. Anyways, lo and behold, I got this collection back to consignment. It was a consignment for Whatnot. And I'll show you that color. And when I got it, I told him, I said, just FYI, I'm buying that record back. I'm not auctioning. Oh, he's like, yeah, no problem. But I don't know if you can see it. It's a beautiful first pressing of Quincy Jones's Bossa Nova. It actually has Soul Bossa Nova, which was used as the Austin Powers theme. But this is just the most unplayed, clean Mercury record that I've ever seen from this era. You couldn't get it cleaner. You could get in Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine, go back in time, and it would maybe be as clean as this, assuming you didn't get any pressing defects, but it could never be cleaner than this. It really, truly was a specimen, but I'm glad I got it. And now I can put it with the other 4 records. I think it was his first record was in there, and there was some other stuff, real early stuff. So there's about 5 that I think I got in that collection. The next record I got recently was the Blonde on Blonde, Bob Dylan, Vinyl Me Please. This is all analog, cut from the original master mono tapes by Ryan Smith. This is essentially just a breakout from the Rolling Stones mono box set, which at the time wasn't really well known as being all analog from the master tapes. Wasn't something that was really advertised. It wasn't a selling point like, hey, this is an all analog box set. Anyways, this is a mono breakout. The box set, I got some restocks of it in 2021. The box set in general was a smoking deal. It was $200 for pretty much all of his mono output, right? Maybe up to, what was it, John Wesley Harding? So that was a great deal in itself. I got a restock of it in 2021. Haven't seen it since. But yeah, this is essentially using the same metalwork, significantly higher quality jacket and just overall presentation. But it's on that, I guess they're going to call it blonde colored vinyl. I listened to it. It's a good sounding record. But yeah, don't know why I have it. I've got the box set, but I've gotten to the point now where I kind of, I don't know if I collect, but I own all of the analog records coming out by Vinyl Me Please. Okay, from that jazz collection, I got some time back. I'm still kind of going through it. But yeah, Grant Green, Street of Dreams. This is a Liberty pressing, but this is a Liberty pressing from the era. You know, this is right after the transition from Blue Note when they got bought out by Liberty. So really nice, clean copy. That whole collection I had purchased from that gentleman was just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I'm still going through it, still pulling out better copies from this collection, adding it to my collection, bringing, and not all always, they're not always in better shape, but for the most part, his stuff was just so cherry and unplayed. So a lot of times they're replacements for my records. But yeah, always love that cover too. I think I looked on Google Maps once for this location. I believe it was in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. I did the Google Street map view to see what it looked like. But yeah, okay, so this is like a real anomaly here. And I listened to it in the store trying to figure out what the hell it was. Creedence Clearwater Revival. I heard it through the grapevine. This is a promo-only disco mix. So I'm thinking of and it's early too, so what is it, 70s? I think this, I thought it says 72 Fantasy Records on here. I thought when I looked online it was 75, which would have made a little bit more sense for the disco era. It's just a white back cover, so there's really no other information on that. But I thought to myself, when I got it, I'm like, oh, I'll put this on. It's going to be some sort of disco remix of Heard It Through the Grapevine, 11 minutes and 5 seconds. Okay, so what it is, it's nothing more than the song with the drums turned up to 11 and everything else turned down to about a 6. So it's just, I wouldn't call it a remix. I wouldn't call it anything other than the the exacerbated drum version. It's really bizarre. And I guess it's kind of disco-y in the sense that it's got a pretty good drum beat, something you could probably dance to, right? And that's predominantly what you hear on this record. I don't know if I'd ever listen to this again. You can see on the back there. Disco version, not to be sold, and it says it there on the label as well. I don't know if this is ever something that I would listen to again, but it was such an interesting listen / novelty. If anybody has any other information on this, I'd love to know what the hell the story is with this. I'm pretty sure it's just, like I said, from listening to it a few times in the store, it's pretty much just the drums have been turned up. All right, love Iggy Pop. 2 favorite Iggy Pop records, Lust for Life, The Idiot, kind of that David Bowie era stuff. And this is a promo. Iggy Pop. This is called Choice Cuts, featuring China Girl. This is a sampler of Lust for Life and The Idiot. So it's kind of a compilation of those 2 albums. It's sealed. I'll never open it because I have the 2 albums and I kind of would just listen to them. But I pretty much have a full run of everything, I think, at this point that Iggy's ever done. So this kind of was cool. I just grabbed it, threw it on the shelf. I don't know, maybe one day I'll crack this thing open, and I do it a lot. Very few things do I keep sealed. There has to be a reason I'll keep it sealed. In the case of this, it's probably because I have both albums already, but I'll probably get curious and wonder what these sound like and open it up in the future. This next album is actually quite difficult to get as a stock copy. I got 2 different variations of it as a promo, but I've never actually had the chance of owning the stock copy. This is David Bowie's, this is the US pressing, Man of Words, Man of Music. The original UK was on Philips, and it's just a self-titled record. In the US, it got renamed Man of Words, Man of Music, and it was put out on Mercury. But this is a very uncommon record. You do not see this very often. And like I said, when you do see it, it's typically a white label promo. This is one of those instances where the promo is worth significantly less than the stock copy. Also, this is extremely clean. I mean, it's got some creasing to the cover, but I don't think I've ever seen one that has that good a color, on the jacket, to where it's nice and crisp and bright, not faded out, not ringweared. So, I mean, pretty cool. I think, like I said, so this, I've got 2 different promo variations and now the stock copy. Although I don't have the original UK. That is, those first 2 UK records, Heck, actually the first three. So the David Bowie first album, self-titled, and the Dress Cover Man Who Sold the World are very expensive and very difficult to get, but they're on the list. Okay, so I was going through that $100,000 collection from a year or 2 years back, and I'm still going through it, but I'm actually running pretty hard on it. I'm almost done going through it, but I found another box of some goodies. Now this, in a way, I feel guilty because I'm not really a Nick Drake fan. I like a couple of songs, but in this collection was just a beautiful, look at this, beautiful, beautiful, just gorgeous copy of Brighter Lighter, UK pressing, textured cover. Very little wear on that textured cover, which is not common. You know, they typically didn't wear too well. A little bit of ring wear on the bottom, but that's about it. Beautiful UK Brighter Lighter. There was two copies of this. One was sealed, which I actually put on the website, on the VIP section of the website. And the second copy, which was opened, I kept. Really clean. It's a punch out. Nick Drake. And then there was a beautiful copy of Pink Moon. Really clean. It's one of those artists that I can see myself in the future spending some time and eventually getting to like it more. And I know how difficult those are to get. And I've kind of talked to you guys about that in the past. When I see something that is really, really rare, if there's any chance that I'm going to want to listen to it in the future, I'll keep it. Because I know how difficult they are to get. I know how difficult clean copies are to get. Now, if it was some rare, you know, hardcore punk band, not something I'd keep. Don't ever see myself liking it. Not really my thing. Thrash metal, hardcore punk, you know, rare yodeling music. I'm not going to listen to that. So I'll sell it. And who knows? Maybe in 25 years with the next big yodel boom, I will end up listening to that. But as of now, the yodeling, the square dancing, the hardcore punk, the hardcore metal, thrash, not really my thing. I sell it. This I'm not going to, because I know how difficult it is to get. This is actually a fantastic record. And I've never seen a copy this clean. And it's one of those records that I've enjoyed, but I've never wanted to spend the money to go out and hunt an original one. You know, it's a record not, it's not a must-have. And that is The Wipers, Youth of America. For a lot of people, this is a must-have. But, this is probably like a $400, $500 copy in this just stone immaculate condition in the original shrink. And it's never been a record that I've wanted to pay $500 for. But it was in that collection. And, yeah. There's one track on this that I actually find myself listening to quite a bit. I'm trying to remember what it was. And I'm not going to be able to. But it was on a soundtrack. I think it was on a soundtrack or a movie, or, it was placed on a soundtrack. And that's kind of what alerted me to this album years ago. But yeah, look how clean. Textured cover original. Youth of America. In that same promo collection with the Nick Drake. And so was this. Not the best 13th Floor Elevators album. Bull of the Woods. But it is still a 13th Floor Elevators record. It is not too common. It's not going to be anywhere near as easy to find as the Psychedelic Sounds. Although the Psychedelic Sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators is monumentally better and much more in demand. It's something that I felt like I really kind of just needed this to kind of complete the collection. And this was the last 13th Floor Elevators period record that I was needing in my collection. The best thing about this is it has a $6 price tag on it. And this was probably sealed when this gentleman purchased this record. Wherever he got it, he paid $6 for it. It was in the original shrink. He cracked it open. And you could tell by looking at this record that it was not really played but a couple of times. It's got some paper marks for sitting in the sleeve for probably quite some time. But yeah, very, very near mint record. With a little paper scuffing, just that, acidic reaction that you get from storing a vinyl record in a sleeve for 50 years. But I thought that was cool. The $6 price tag is just the best part about that record. Okay. Dolly Parton. So I don't listen to a lot of country, but I actually do like Dolly Parton. I would say I like her hits, which this album has, you know, it has Jolene on it. But I love Whitney Houston, and I love the Bodyguard soundtrack. And I Will Always Love You was written by Dolly Parton, and it's actually on this album. And these original clean Dolly Parton records are quite difficult to find. She has such a cult following. There's just there's an audience of people for her, and they're just relentless collectors. There's just certain artists that are difficult to find because there's so many people looking to buy their stuff. Even if they're not vinyl enthusiasts, they're going to be buying Dolly Parton stuff. So her early RCA stuff is actually quite difficult to find. It's very difficult to find clean. Now by the 80s, like, you know, she did the movie 9 to 5. I think her popularity then went into more of the mainstream, out of the country realm of things. And those records you actually see, they're common. But that 70s Porter Wagner solo era stuff of hers is very difficult to find in Arizona anyways, which is bizarre because this is a country town. You find a lot of country records. You find a lot of Outlaw, Waylon, Willie, that kind of stuff in spades. Like my Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson is like this in the store. I mean, in every record store I've ever really been to in other parts of the country, they don't get the quantity like we do here in Arizona. Ooh, fantastic album. Actually, I like their newest album. Wasn't that bad either. That came out not too long. I think it had a foil cover. I forget the name of it. But Twink, Think Pink. This is a promo copy from that same promo collection. Really, really clean. Mostly, like I said, everything in this collection was for the most part unplayed, but that is not an easy album to get in any configuration as an original, so I enjoyed that. This I actually have, I think, 3 copies of, and I like the record, and I thought to myself, maybe I'll keep these variations for maybe a future shootout video. I don't know if I would ever do a shootout video on this. It's been done a few times though, and that is a #1 album, #1 record by Big Star. Great record. This is stamped as a promo copy, punched. There's some variation, dead wax variation. There's different promo copies, retail exclusives. It was cut multiple times, I think, for the first pressing. I think some of the early first pressings, this is all at the top of my head. There's a star in the dead wax. It's a little bit weird for a record that never sold really well in the beginning. There's an immense amount of variations on this. But yeah. It was done by Classic Records as well, and there's an all-analog version of this that I want to say is in print now. It was about a year ago. Tip-on jacket, reasonably priced, cut from the original master tape. And again, Classic did it. But with #1 record was actually a record that I don't have multiple copies of, and that is this. Well, kind of. So this is a UK copy of Big Star's #1 record, but it's a double. So you've got #1 record and Radio City. 2 LP set. So this is something I would probably, I don't know, if I ever did a shootout of it, I would keep this for that. But if it wasn't something that I ever decided in the future that I would do a shootout for, I would probably get rid of this one. I actually got an original copy of Radio City. Ooh. Uno Mas. Beautiful. Original first stereo pressing from that jazz collection. Really clean. When I do these videos and I look at the wax and I see that plasticite and Van Gelder and the dead wax, it's something about, maybe it's because I'm a jazz fan. The jazz stuff is kind of what I gravitate towards the most. But it doesn't matter what I hold in my hand or how rare it is or how desirable it is or even what it costs. But when I hold these original Blue Notes in my hand, oh man, is it exciting. And this time is no exception. I have multiple copies of this. I don't think anything this clean as far as original stereo copies go. So this is going to be the one that I end up keeping. But I'll test out that against what I have already. This I bought on eBay earlier in the summer. Johnny Griffin's Sextet with Donald Byrd, Pepper Adams, Kenny Drew, and Philly Joe Jones. Wilbur Ware. As well, one of the better titles put on Riverside, in my opinion. Fantastic original deep groove pressing, really, really clean. This came from the same seller. I bought a lot of stuff from him over the summer. He was just putting up the most immaculate, clean jazz records, unfortunately for the top price, but, you know, you're not going to find them in this stuff. Let me take this cover out. You just don't find them very much in this condition, you know, with near mint vinyl. The jackets were just a thing of beauty. So I bought quite a few records from this guy over the summer, and I'm still going through them and still sorting them out. And one of those records, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band, Trout Mask Replica. I feel like it should be in my collection. I don't know why. I put it on the turntable every now and then from time to time. It lasts about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, nope, not feeling it. But iconic cover. Third Man recently redid it, and this is the original straight pressing. And it's in beautiful shape. So, you know, maybe one day, but it's a little bit too out there for me, which is coming from somebody who's got, you know, this much Archie Shepp on his shelf. So, you know, don't have an answer for you there, but maybe I'll give it another crack in a couple years. All right, guys, check us out online at theingroove.com. Until next time.